Episode 3. Can you believe it? Episode 3 of What Are You Listening To? I'm excited about tonight's show. We've got a great panel. We've been chatting for about an hour before we went live on air about jazz and various other things. So we'll see what they've got to show us later. We don't know yet. So we've got James. How you doing, James?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
How you doing, Paul? I'm Pat.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
So for regular viewers of the show, you know what the deal is. We've all picked out 5 records we've been listening to recently. We're going to show them. We're going to talk about them. I'm excited to see what everyone's picked out for this week. It's always a good time. That's about it. We'll get right down to it, shall we? We'll do one each, right? We'll do one each and then go around like that. So James, and you're in my firing line.
It's on me to go first.
Yes.
All right.
James.
All right.
Paul, Pat, me, and then we'll go round again 5 times. So Let's get things going. You ready?
All right. So I guess my first pick is going to be something that is actually kind of like tossing the football back to you a little bit, Mike, because this is a band that I've always liked that has always kind of had a bad reputation in the U.S., particularly amongst people who like Japanese hardcore and punk and Burning Spirits, who like all of the marquee bands. There just seems to be no love for Extinct Government.
Oh, okay.
And I really love the No Justice LP. It's one of my favorite of like this like kind of like street punk meets hardcore style. A lot of people don't like Ricky's vocals. I like Ricky's vocals. They sound just like extra maniacal on this record. I think it's like 1998 Overthrow Records.
Something like that, yeah.
With one of those really nice, thick tip-on sleeves that you get from Japan at the time. Perfect mix of like very like bouncy pogo punk, but just like enough teeth to kind of like let it veer into hardcore territory a little bit. But I don't know what the deal is. Like people in the US do not care for Extinct Government. It's like this record you never see in the US. But the EPs you would see, maybe they're just like a little too common for people. Also, I remember when like the Recharge split came out and people kind of were like diss bands were not cool at that point, and so like that was like another like blow against Extinct Government. But I mean, what is not to like? I mean, it's like amphetamine fueled. It's the exploited on amphetamines with one of the most iconic mohawks in all of Japanese punk. So I'm curious because like for a band that like for a long time seemed to be on every bill in Japan. It's like, God damn it, this band just plays every fucking show. Clearly, they must be more esteemed in Japan than they are here. And so I'm curious what your take is, Mike, on Extinct Government.
Okay,
and, I have what the perception is.
Yeah, I have a couple of takes. I think like for the American guys, like they weren't cool enough. They were a little bit too much like Blank 77 or the Casualties or something like that. They weren't the traditional Japanese hardcore style. So that's might explain one thing. Also, Ricky, the vocalist, he used to be in Kruk. He was the bassist in Kruk, who were traditional Japanese hardcore bands. So maybe people had sort of expectations about them that didn't meet their expectations. They changed lineups a whole bunch of times. They've had like so many members in the band, and they were even like everyone that is in the band in sort of like recent times has to have that look, that sort of street punk look. But it wasn't always like that. I saw them with a totally different lineup. They had like Minoru from Lip Cream was in that band at the beginning, and they had a different lineup and lots of lineup changes. But I think it's too street punk for the people that like Japanese hardcore. I think that's what it is.
Outside of Japan.
Yes, yeah.
So
in Japan,
what is their reputation really sure. In Japan?
The last time I saw them was a long time ago, like supporting Chaos UK, I think. But yeah, it's like not quite that like traditional Japanese hardcore that people like,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And Cathcart's in the band too, right? He's not anymore, but Cathcart from Tetsuari, he was the bass player.
Yeah, that's right.
Originally, yeah. But good pick.
Yeah, that's my pick. That's first pick. Here we go. Extinct
Punk it
Government,
up,
No
punk it
Justice. Yeah, if you like your punk on drugs and punk with lots of spikes and big hair, then I recommend Extinct Government.
There you go.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. All right, Paul. What'd you go for us?
Oh, me? All right.
Yeah.
First, thank you. Like,
Thank you.
there's invitations I get for this style of stuff that just never, ever develops. Like, the laundry list is going on and on for years. I'm so happy that this is a thing.
Thanks.
So, my pick is this. Oh. This. There's this label called Dungeons Deep. So, to be totally honest, I'm coming out of the other side of a weird divorce. I've got a great lady friend now. My daughter, who's 15, is a horrible person, but I also love her with my whole heart. And I've gotten into this Dungeons Deep label, right? And they do a bunch of wizard music about like hobbits and things, like Ancient Vibrations, The Cold Walk Through Fang Forest. Like, those are the names of this shit. And I think it's literally like one dude and like his harping buddies like slap each other in the dick with like their fucking duct tape swords and stuff. I have no idea, but like it comes on like a lot of this stuff is like Dragon Smog Bog vinyl and stuff, and it's just these instrumentals. And in between the songs, you hear like ogres chanting and stuff, and I love it so much. It's been a great like a respite from like the real world that I can just put this on and just like this. Let this drone in the background of all of their weirdness. And I think like if this dude who did this, like if this is like a color drawing that he did with crayons and sketched it out, God, I kind of have a crush on him in his art style. Right?
As soon as I saw that, I kind of woke up. It's like, Jesus, that looks great.
Yeah, it's this weird dungeon music, and it's some stuff he does like there's like cassettes of like Bespin Moon, so he's got like a Star Wars theme to some junk, and like cassettes of like just knights on horses, like the Lonely Rider and like shit like that. It's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. It's the silliest stuff. And right now, it's just I'm really loving it, kind of because of that. It's out of the element of everything that I used to like, and I had no idea that I'd be so into like a song about like Bilbo's making porridge. Like, oh yeah, I'll listen to that. Do I actually hear the spoon in that between all the weird synth science? Oh,
so is this all like synth? Is it all synth?
Well, he also does like 8-bit synth stuff to fake video games that he makes up in his head. I'm pretending it's one guy and maybe his friends like whacking the nuts with maybe like Atari PlayStation stuff too. Whatever. Like, it's incredible. I'm making up my own like mythology about how and why this label exists. But I guess
so
for now,
everyone watching now who wants to get a hold of these records, how and why would they be able to get them?
Dungeons Deep.
Once
every few weeks, he's like, "Hey, I made 18 new cassettes today," or like, "I have 30 vinyl pressings of whatever." Dragon Sperm Limited vinyl. Like, who fucking knows what he's gonna do next? And I love it because it's so absurd, and I can't get enough of it right now. Eventually, I will have enough of it because, like I said, my daughter, who I hate, is gonna have to invite friends over at some point, and they're gonna be like, "What's your dad playing? More like Dragon Sperm colored vinyl?" And yeah, man, who cares? We put on Taylor Swift. I don't know what kids are into. Anyway,
nice. It's the space between the notes that.
It's the space between the
space. Yeah.
Seriously though, there's this one track about like marching through the forest, right? And the synths go so low, and they're barely audible. You can just hear like the vibration of the bass, and then there's like horse hooves coming through.
I'm in that forest.
So ridiculous! That attention to detail is so stupid. I love it so much.
Sounds amazing.
I've had a lot of friends.
Anybody familiar?
Not with that band or that project, but that type of stuff. I have a bunch of friends that have had like big dungeon synth, like personal arcs in the past like 2 or 3 years where they've just gotten really into all that stuff. I know I'm due for one. I know it's going to happen sooner or later. But I mean, that shit's crazy. Like there's a guy that likes my channel and messaged me somewhere, I think just through Bandcamp, maybe. He does a similar project called Assorted Potions. That's just like it's totally.
By the way, that's why I have this pencil. I'm making notes. I wrote down the thing: government assorted potions. That's getting an asterisk, by the way.
You know, it'll be on YouTube later. You don't have to write it down.
I don't want to go through the notes.
Yeah, you don't want to have to watch this again. Just write it down.
Yeah, you don't have to watch this again, right? Exactly.
Assorted Potions, like it's more like it's purely 8 and 16-bit turn-based RPG based like type of dungeon synth. Like he listens, it's like early Final Fantasy and Dragon Warrior or Dragon Quest in Japan based type of shit. I don't know. There's so much of that stuff out lately. The farthest I go with it is probably Summoning, who are kind of like half and half that and just black metal, but shit's cool. Conceptually, I love it. I'm a fantasy dork, so.
There was a
go ahead, man. Go ahead.
One thing I got from him a while ago was this wooden box with a cassette in it that came like it was like wax stamped, and inside it came like a little clay pipe. So when I'm out like foraging for mushrooms or whatever, like I could like light it up or like trim my feet hair. Like I don't know, like it was just so wonderful.
Beautiful.
That's wonderful.
All right, Patrick, I'm guessing your first choice isn't Assorted Potions? It's
not. I don't have any. I don't even know if they have physical media, actually. I just have Bandcamp stuff. This is an LP you guys are probably all familiar with. I know the name from thanks lists and other things. It's German hardcore. Skeezicks, Selling Out, came out in 87. I like this. This is right up my alley. I mean, I'm familiar, not super familiar with a lot of 80s German hardcore. Like I know the Sperm Birds, of course, Inferno, that stuff. This is cool. It's like straight edge skate thrash-ish kind of stuff. Just a hint of metal, like metal playing it. They're tight, they can play well, but it's not like crossover or anything. A couple songs are kind of anthemic and street punky, goofy lyrics. I don't know if they were part of the whole like Network of Friends thing. I think they were a little late for that, maybe. I'm not sure, but they have all the unnecessary like bandanas that was, emblematic of that scene. But yeah, super fun. I mean, this type of shit, I'm gonna track down all of it eventually, but it just kind of happened across I went through a Discogs thing where I really wanted one CD by another band, and the place didn't even end up having it, and I just got this alone, and that was fine because this is pretty fucking good. But
that's a good record. Is it on We Bite Records or a small Xmist?
Yes, it's on Xmist. Xmist 8. It's also on Hagoland Records. It's a split release, I think. But yeah,
that era of German hardcore was pretty interesting. Like mid late 80s.
Pretty awesome too.
Yeah, all that stuff and the UK stuff too, like Heresy and the Stupids. It's kind of funny, and I'm sure it's been discussed like at length at this point. But it is kind of cool how all those bands picked up American hardcore when American hardcore kind of started to fall off or mutate into other things, and how they kind of adapted some of what they perceived to be the fashions. But I'm just like, how many bandanas do you think we wear over here? Like, how many hoodies under shirts, under other shirts, under vests? Like,
I'm telling you, it was crazy at that time. Like you'd have, like you're saying, it's like you'd have like the 3 t-shirts and the raglan, and then like the bandanas on every pocket, and then around the wrists and around the ankles, and like
Pat,
you're totally right though, because I'd met like folks like in the 90s that come here and stuff like from Europe playing, and like their only like introduction, this is like pre-Heart Attack years, this is all Maximum Rock and Roll, and the humor in Maximum Rock and Roll was so dry they wouldn't know if like that was like American hardcore or not. Like, is this letter about Crucial Youth like a real thing, or is this like a fake thing? Are we singing songs about dentistry and like oral hygiene, or like
I just bought Power of Positive Thinking, or not Power, the Posi Machine on cassette. That's which is it's in the 3 format club for me. I have it on LP, CD, and cassette now. But I was listening to it in the kitchen, and I was like, this rules. And then the next day I got this in the mail and I was like, this is so close. Like musically, I don't think the German guys are meaning it directly. Like it's tongue in cheek, but it's not like a satire like Crucial Youth is, you know. But yeah, great, both great, you know. So
that Skeezicks record is great, but like at that time it kind of got overshadowed by the Sperm Birds' first album. I don't know if anybody did Something to Prove.
Is that the one with like? Yeah. Is that the Cerebus?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Cerebus, the aardvark.
Yes. Well,
it's interesting because I think the Sperm Birds remind me more of like a nardcore kind of band. Like they feel like they could be like a Doug Moody kind of deal, which is a kind of a wide
like the Asexuals and that stuff. Right on. Yeah.
Well, but that's a huge umbrella. Like all those bands sound different, but they just seem like maybe it's even just the cover art that looks like that. But there definitely seem to be a little bit more California in sound. Whereas that Skeezicks stuff, the vocals are a little bit gruffer. It reminds me a little bit more of Boston stuff. But like I said, I just listened to that record like once today. So that's just my initial impression of it.
Yeah. Well, the Sperm Birds had an American singer. He was a GI based in Germany. That's why his English and his accent is so American. German guy, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Same with Jingo de Lunch. They had a Canadian singer. Yeah. Lived in Germany. It's my turn, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
First of all, I've got to show these two records before I get into my 5. They're 2 records that I bought because of previous episodes. They sort of made me go out and get these because other people have showed them. So this is the first one. It's the Stalin Stop Jap Naked, which I thought I did not need because I have the original Stop Japs. Like, why would I need this reissue? Jesus Christ! I mean, if you know the original, you know it's a great record. But this, they've like remixed it or done something to it. It's so powerful. This might have even become like my favorite Stalin record now after playing this. Came out a couple of months ago in Japan. It's still out there, I think, but blew me
stellar
away.
Reviews just like keep rolling in on that one. I've yet to hear it. I
mean, seriously, if you're thinking like me, I don't need this. I've got the original. Why do I need this?
This has been my problem. Yeah.
Right. I would recommend this to anyone who loves the Stalin and Stop Jap. You got to get this.
What is the story? Like they call it Naked because it's the production stripped back.
Well, I thought maybe incorrectly that on the original there was like some lyrics had been censored because they were on a major label. And I thought it was because some of the lyrics had been censored or changed, and this one had like the original lyrics. That's what I thought, but I don't think it's necessarily the case. Maybe there's that too, but it's just been totally remixed, remastered. Whatever they've done to it, I don't know, but it sounds great. So that's one that everyone should pick up. And another one was the Action Swingers album that Tony recommended. Yeah, I had to get this, and it popped up. I found it literally 2 days after Tony talked about it. I found a copy. Such a good record. It is, like he said, it's like the Freeze meets the Ramones kind of thing. It's not like any of their other records. You know, it's one of a kind. Great record. Now I'll start my 5. Okay, so this is my first choice. Going back to Germany again, actually, 1984, something like that. Destruction.
Nice.
This is their like first demo tape, The Bestial Invasion of Hell. It was, originally a self-released demo tape. Floga Records from Greece has put it out on vinyl. Really nice package. It's got a huge poster inside. I'm not going to show it, but I like to think that this was like the first German thrash band. I think. I mean, I could be wrong there, but I first heard them on like that Speed Kills compilation. Bestial Invasion, which had like Metallica and Megadeth on it. This band like really stood out, like Destruction and Celtic Frost. It's like more primitive, but actually they're really technical. Like the guitars are super technical, like crazy guitar playing. I guess they are. Well, I'm not guess. They were like Venom, right? They were really influenced by Venom, but it's like technical Venom, but like still raw. With their own sound, and I mean it's more primitive and raw than the first and second LPs, but great stuff. Destruction, the Bestial Invasion of Hell.
Yeah, all those German bands, their demos are great.
Yeah,
I mean, their albums are great too, but
it's
the
the same
demos
thing. I'm
with
like, well,
Sodom,
do I really need like the demo tape? It's the same with the Sodom, their demo tapes and stuff. So do I really need the demo tapes? Yeah.
yeah, you do.
Agree.
Also, the
You do.
Tormentor demos, that's like pre-creator. That's also really good too.
Right. So there you go.
Nasty.
Destruction, German thrash. They're still going, right? I've not kept up with them since like Mad Butcher.
Yeah. All three of those bands are still chugging along, you know, and all their newer stuff, it's pretty okay. You know, like a lot of bands kind of fall off. I don't really buy the new stuff by those bands, but I give it a spin now and again. I'm like, yeah, they're still good. I'll enjoy the stuff live if I see them, you know. So
all right, James, what you got?
Okay, so people who know me well know that one of my preoccupations is the Swedish rock scene from the late 60s into the mid 70s or so. Kind of the umbrella that people use is Swedish prog, spelled with 2 G's, and it's not necessarily prog in the Emerson, Lake and Palmer sense, though some of it does veer that way. But it's kind of like an umbrella term that can mean anything from like weird insular freak folk records to more Western hard rock inspired stuff, like a band called November that's really big from Sweden. And but my favorite band in this scene, if you could really call it a scene, is called Trädgräs och Stenar, that started off in the mid 60s as a project to basically be a backing band for Terry Riley called Parson Sound. And they evolved into a group called International Harvester, then Harvester, then Trädgräs och Stenar. Released 4 LPs under that name. And they're kind of like the Swedish, I don't know, Grateful Dead maybe, where like, you know, they have like a handful of songs that they just riff on live. And so every time you hear the song, it's never really the same way twice. The live recordings are just as important as the studio work, if not more so. But everything is like a long drawn out jam. And it's like really psychedelic and blissed out and druggy and some of my favorite shit ever. This is not one of their records. This is a weird asterisk in the early Swedish punk scene on Heartwork Records from 1979, Blödarna. And this is, let's see, like Heartwork Records is probably most famous for releasing a sort of goth electric group called Cortex. That's sort of like a damaged art rock pre-industrial group. They released an EP and an LP and maybe even a second EP by them. But they're kind of just like a cult Swedish label of the time. One of the guys from this band later went on to Evergrown, but he's not a founding member. I think he joins after like the second Evergrown record. I don't really listen to Evergrown after the first LP, but you know, there is like a connection here to like the punk scene, and I guess they played with punk bands, but the sound is very, very odd on this record, where it is more like a Swedish prog record. It sounds more like Trädgräs och Stenar. It's this sort of, you know, even though on the backside it lists 2 songs, it's basically like one song recorded live that splits down the middle, and you could flip the record to continue to the second song. I do believe that there's a CD reissue from the 90s that kind of splices these together to make it one long song again. There really needs to be a 12-inch vinyl reissue of this. If I had more money to blow on things that will just lose money, I would love to reissue that on 12-inch.
I'll buy it.
But it's very sick, and like the vocalist who's the guy that later went on to Evergrown, he's got this sort of like, I don't want to go so far as to say like Glenn Danzig kind of croon, but it's like that less chops. You know what it is? It's the Jim Morrison channeling that's going on top of this, where it has like some very meandering organ parts on top of this just like very stoned out jam, but it's punk. Like it's like decidedly it's got too much teeth to be part of the hippie movement. But
I got you.
Structurally,
I'm from Michigan. I know what you're talking about. Like I know.
Yeah, right. It's
Sonics
kind of
Rendezvous,
like,
MC5, like that. Like
yes. Yes. Or even like a Cleveland band like the Mirrors or something. Like
Yeah.
it's another, you know, it's like stuck in between these two worlds, but it's like the perfect bridge between past and present, what was happening at the time.
James, is that like the original 7-inch, or is that like a repress you found? Or
it is. It has not been repressed. It needs to be repressed. But thankfully, this is not something that a lot of people care about. And you can get it.
Not until today.
Yeah. We're blowing up the spot today, boys.
Yeah, you've blown up our spot.
Yeah. Better rush.
Artie White is on here buying up all the copies on Discogs right now.
Right. Yeah, there's not too much first wave Swedish punk that you can get for on the cheap, but I think it's just like you can probably find it for $30 or $40. It's not dirt cheap, but it's cheaper than what it should be. Especially if you're interested in this sort of, and I think that's maybe part of the problem is there's not a lot of overlap between people who love early Swedish punk and are also like super into this more hippie Swedish prog.
Yeah, but you know
scene.
Where the overlap is like that. The Mirrors, the MC5, or like Death, Sonic's Rendezvous, like all of that sort of like, I don't know, the Mutants, like some of that sort of proggy, more crazy stuff. Like a 12-inch of that with that cover as an etching on the backside, like
100%.
Like,
wow, yeah, well, fucking, Captured Tracks or someone put it out, then it would be. That'd be $100 record by the end of the month.
This is going to be the first GoFundMe started.
Yeah. Maybe that's what. Yeah, like maybe. What do you
down below in the comments if anyone wants to?
Yeah.
If anybody wants to do a GoFundMe. And no, Artie White is not a ska band, and there hasn't been any ska mentioned yet.
Yeah, give it time.
Are they a one and done band? Did they do an LP, or was that?
Yes, that's it. No, it's just this EP and the CD reissue. From the 90s, I think the 90s, maybe early 2000s. It's as far as I know, it's been a while since I've listened, but I think it's just this song, single track. But when you put the two pieces together, it's like 10, 12 minutes long, something like that. I would love to find out if there are other recordings, because again, it's not even studio; it's a live recording. So, like I don't know like how serious the band even was, because you go to their Discogs and you click around, and like every member was in another project, usually all on Heartwork Records. So, yeah, it's a cool kind of unknown entry into the early Swedish punk scene, but it's fucking genius shit. Love it.
Killer. All right, Paul, I don't know how you're gonna top your first choice, but
I don't know if I'll ever be able to. But I do want to talk about this record right here. Fright. Do you guys know about this? This is a Nate Wilson band. Yes. I know he's like a guest coming up, but I can't get enough of this record. It's got that perfect. It's a little bit. Wait, who said Smokes? Like you? Yeah, okay, you know it. Here's my favorite part about this, because I just saw Nate last week, and this is him in this picture. He's got these now he's got these long curly locks like Shirley Temple. It's incredible. Like I saw him and I thought he'd be like churning butter, but instead he's in this fucking band that's tearing shit up. It's incredible. Yeah, perfect like blend between like metal and thrash, but I like Pat. Don't you agree? Like it's got like something about it almost has like a sludgy sort of quality to it. Like I can't.
Yeah, I could see that. I think that's just like part and parcel of his songwriting. There's always a little bit of a tinge of doom or a lot of doom, depending on what project you're talking about with Nate.
Because he's like drumming on this and like he's holding back just a little bit behind the beat and just like it's fucking great. Yeah.
Fright.
If you get a chance to get this.
Self-released? Who put that out? Do you know?
Self-released. Well, Gloom.
Oh,
Gloom Records.
They're back.
They're back. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Like you said, like if I had enough money, I do. Like there might be 100 of them, but he might still have 90. I don't fucking know.
But that description that you said about Fright does sound a little bit like Artie's new band as well, Ready for Death.
I haven't heard Artie's new band. Okay. And I choose not to.
Okay.
Until I have a physical copy. It's just one of those things that Artie's like, I'm going to be in a new band. Yeah, sure, buddy. We'll see it when we hear it. MP3s don't count in this genre. Sorry to
Who
make
did the artwork on the Fright record? It has a very like
Suji,
Japanese.
Suji.
Yeah, I was gonna say
like
it's very
Suji.
Suji looking style. Yeah,
It is. I think. Or
That's a genuine article.
it's got to
Suji.
be right. It's like very like.
it looks
Is it
exactly
Shugi
like
or Suji? It's,
Yeah, you're right.
I would go to Sugi.
Wait, did you know that before you said it?
Yeah, it just looks like some of it looks like some of his work. It is.
It's 100 fucking % him.
That's why we're here. You know. There you go.
There we go.
There we go.
Jesus Christ! It even says thanks to my friend on the back as well. There you go. Anyway, moving along.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
So speaking of dark German thrash, glad I pulled. This is more Teutonic goodness here. This is Outrage.
Outrage.
From Nightmares and Myths. If you like early Celtic Frost and Hellhammer, this sounds almost identical, which is kind of a lot to think about because this is from 1986. So it's when those bands were around. This isn't a modern band doing like a worship thing. It just so happened that a couple years after Hellhammer was a thing and Celtic Frost was starting to evolve, this is just that really raw, simplistic riffs. The vocals are a little bit more guttural, like heading in sort of more of a death metal direction. It's sloppy but not unlistenable. I have the CD of their demos from before this, and those are like almost like the early Poison from Germany level of like almost unlistenable but still great, like raw, like extreme metal kind of stuff. But yeah, if you haven't heard this already and you're really stoked on that Destruction demo, also check this out. Definitely if you like Celtic Frost and Hellhammer, this is very, very similar.
Is that a reissue?
Oh yeah, this is originally came out as a cassette.
Okay.
And it's about it's about LP length. It's about like 40 minutes or so. But it came out reissued by an Italian label called Ripping Storm Records.
Was that where you got it? You got it locally or mail order or did you
I just found it on Discogs. I got that CD because I'd seen the name around, and there's a metal reissue label that I really like called Vic Records that they tend to unearth like a lot of stuff that's like well known, like second and third tier thrash bands like Toxic and stuff like that, but they also dig up some wild stuff that I've never heard of. And I've seen this logo on different, I don't know, all over the place. And I knew that they were like an old German band. And I was like, man, I need to hear this. And I actually got the CD off of Amazon. And I was like, what else is there by this band that I can find? And this is, I enjoy more than the CD because it's a little bit more together because that's older demos, but it's all demo stuff. And they're one of those bands that also reformed like in the mid 2000 teens after never having like a real album. And they put out a real album. I don't know how that album is. I'll probably give it a shot at some point.
Could go either way, right? Could go either way.
Yeah, sometimes I'm surprised by that stuff. Like sometimes that stuff is really, really good. Sometimes it's like, what are you guys doing? Started a different band,
Yeah, usually that's where it goes. Like,
yeah,
they hit that.
We finally got the sound that we wanted on,
right.
We did those
and it turns out it
demos.
sucks.
Yeah,
It turns out we were accidentally great to begin with.
Yeah.
We figured out triggered drums, guys. Like,
right. The logo is cool. It's not telling me Frost Hellhammer though at all. It's
nor is the name of the band like Outrage.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I would have thought it was like
that tells me like New York '88 or.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, go drink milk.
Yo, what the fuck is up, Lower East Side? We're Outrage.
Yeah, sounds like Outrage. Boss, dun, 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 dun. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Hi-hat clamp. Yeah.
It's going on the list, the non-existent list. I'm going to watch the video back. So we were talking about the Burdett brothers, right? Before we started recording, the Japanese hardcore. Todd Burdett introducing Japanese hardcore to all the young kids and everything. And Burdett brothers have a ton of bands, right? There's one band I think of theirs that's a little bit forgotten. It's really great, actually. I was actually listening to it this week. Call the Police.
Oh yeah.
1984 in 2003. This is more their punk side. It's not or anything. It sounds more like Criminal Damage. It's got the kind of Criminal Damage vibe, mid-paced, anthemic punk rock with really both Todd and Paul play guitar. There's some really like nuanced guitar work, but yeah.
The name of the band is Call the Police.
Call the Police, yeah. And so it's got
fucking
like
great name.
It's a good name. Why did that
I think
come
the
from?
only band that's ever been called that. That's a fucking great name.
Now, right?
It comes
Yeah,
from
right.
a song though, right? From an old punk band, and I'm forgetting who. I should have looked it up, but
I loved the demo for that.
there you go. Well, first demo only.
Well, I mean, so it's it was a very. All the demos coming out around that time were very well produced. They didn't sound like demos. They could have gone straight to vinyl so easily.
Yeah.
And but it was just a little bit more punchy than that 12-inch. I love that 12-inch, but it's just it's all the same songs, but there's just something about it that has a little bit more teeth. It's a bit nicer. Who's the person that sang her? Like her name was like Ginger.
That's it.
Like
I kind of actually looked up because so you've got like Todd and Paul. The bassist is Jason, who was in Coldbringer. Band Coldbringer, and he's now in this band, Lose Lose, with Billy from Tragedy. Which
I didn't realize that he was in Lose Lose.
I mean, neither until I was researching for this episode. But like, this record is really good, straightforward, straight ahead, hardcore too. Billy from Tragedy and Jason from Call the Police. But I don't know who the singer is because that's what it's like, Ginger Vitus, right? She calls herself.
Yeah, right. She's like she was a really good like pull and vert skater, West Coast person. I was like loosely friends with just through the MySpace era. Very, very cool. I wonder what happened to her.
Well, she
went her vocals are so fucking good. Though.
They are. They're really good. So it's basically like Criminal Damage kind of style, right? Punk. But like, I guess the singer went on to be in a band called Salted City. Anybody familiar with that band, Salted City? And then a band called Sister Midnight. I've not heard either of those bands, but I
remember that.
Yeah, seriously, one of the posters just wrote, "Can you imagine them at a gig?" Just being like, a guy gets up there, call the police with. Can you imagine the opening band is like Fire, Fire, Escape. Call the police.
Fire, Fire, Escape.
I just used to confuse them with a band. There was a band from Boston. I think a friend of mine was in the band called Send More Cops, a la Return of the Living Dead, and I always got them confused. Like, send more cops, call the police.
I had a friend who had this idea for a band that had a rotating name of like, you want people to show up, just call your band like Benefit for Homeless or Benefit for Battered Women, Benefit for like whatever you want to do, just have it be Benefit for. Just everyone's gonna come up with a can of pink salmon or whatever, and they'll donate it at the door. But you'll have like people.
That's like the opposite. It's like why are the Doors always the supporting band of every gig?
Yeah. Right.
Doors open.
Doors at 11. Yeah.
George Bush on the cover. There you go.
Yeah, we love him now in America.
Charging.
He was an enemy then. Now he's like a cool guy.
Dude, have you seen his
love his watercolors.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, honestly, his shower painting is like one of the great pieces of American art from the last 20 years. It is like the most psychotic, like it's just like goddamn, like this is like psychology 101, like of like a tortured person.
Like those are his like feet in a bathtub or something? Like
there's the one where he's like in a shower and there's like a mirror in the shower and you kind of see him looking through the mirror in the shower. People don't tune into this channel for art analysis. I'm just going to say.
But if they did, they'd get real talk, real art.
Right, exactly.
James and Paul and real art now. George Bush, would you like to come on our podcast? Just saying it's an open invitation.
Yeah, maybe he would. God,
maybe you can help crowdfund us for this psychedelic punk record that we're planning to put out.
People are actually watching this live and commenting.
They are. I can't see it because I'm on my. They are. I can't see it because I'm on my software. But
that's so sad.
God, I hope
on a Saturday night, this is what people are.
Hey, it's not as sad as actually being on.
Those are all my friends.
Yeah, it's all just a hard rock board and
good
like.
Evening, Gramps. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, who's next? Back to James, right? Back to James, I think. Right? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Back to me. Okay. Great.
There you go.
I'm stretching the rules just a little bit, but I think it's fair.
There are no rules.
Okay, because this isn't one record, but the thing is, I never listened to just one of these records I pull all three out at the same time. It's a band with I think one of the few bands with a perfect discography, but really only because they have 3 LPs. And it's a band that also represents something else that I love, which is that weird conflagration of pub rock and glam and the very early punk days. And it's just something that I'm also bringing up, not because not just because I've legitimately been listening to it, but I think I've talked to you about this before, Mike, and was surprised at this, because this is in my mind like quintessential analog core. And but I think like when I was like, hey, do you listen to Doctors of Madness? You kind of gave me like a non-committal, maybe I kind of or no sort of answer, right?
Yeah,
but their first 2 albums, Late Night Movies and All Night Brainstorms, and their second album, Figments of Emancipation, came out in 1976. Then a couple of years later, in 1978, Sons of Survival, and you can tell just by the artwork that's like, okay, punk is happening now. We got to kind of catch up and be a part of that. But man, oh man, these fucking records are perfect through and through. Even though this is like their punk record, they don't really change the style. Like you could take songs from either one of these and just switch them up on a playlist. They all sound the same and they'll fit seamlessly. They didn't evolve or change their style at all. It definitely has a foot in Bowie and this sort of like, I'm a thinking man's rock and roller, and I'm a poet and a front man, and you know, but you know, it's good. Like I like the lyrics; they are smart. Richard Strange, the vocalist and guitarist, songwriter, interesting guy. He pops up later as a bit actor in various movies. Probably most famously, he plays Abraham Lincoln in Harmony Korine's Mr. Lonely. With Diego Luna from 2007, I think. It's a movie about people who live their lives as impersonators and they can't figure out where the line is between real life and their person they're impersonating. So he actually plays an Abe Lincoln impersonator. But anyways, I don't know what to say, man. This their drummer Peter Dilemma, I gotta say,
itching to ask.
Yes, jump in.
James, I have a question for you.
Yes, lay it on me.
Was this a band that you found like organically, or somebody was like, listen to this, and you were like, I love it, or someone said, listen to this, and you were like, I hate it, and then later it clicked, or like, how did you come about this band?
So I was living with my friend Jeffrey.
Is that G-E or J-E?
Jeffrey Novak, Jeffery.
Okay.
He's got like a bunch of different bands. Currently he has a band called Cookie Jar. At the time he had a band called Cheap Time that was like a garage rock band. But he was with my roommate back in Nashville, and he was kind of going through his like extended umbrella glam rock phase. He had just gotten like done with Sparks and was looking for something else in this umbrella. I had just gotten finally, and kind of late in the game, honestly, like really deep into Johnny Moped. And it was like our rooms are right next to each other, and I would be listening to the Johnny Moped LP, and he would be listening to one of these. And it was almost like we could walk back and forth and be like, we're listening to the same fucking record. This sounds exactly like the same kind. Like we both arrived to the same place through different avenues.
That's awesome.
But man, these records are just like, Johnny Moped is a great comparison in terms of like the punk side of things. Also, I'm trying to think, like on this record, there is a B-side that was not a B-side, was never released. It comes out on a CD reissue later on that Dave Vanian sings guest vocals on, just to like let you know, like clearly they did figure out like who their audience was, kind of like too late and past its prime. I also feel like they might have been an influence on the Addicts in some way because they share a electric violinist. Like there are songs on these records that sound like they're a more rocked out 70s Joker in the Pack.
Wow.
For me, I like the fact that it was something that kind of late in the game, you were just like, what the fuck is this? I want all of these. Wait, there's only 3? Like that
Right.
is
But
kind
they're
of an
all
incredible
perfect.
thing. Like
Yeah.
that's the second asterisk I've made tonight.
And and it's like they totally seem like one of those bands that, they were on Polydor, they were playing big gigs, but they were just like a little too late for glam and a little too early for punk, and like fell through this crevice and became an influence on a lot of like the punk bands that would come later. But yeah, just kind of like just never really got to where they were supposed to be. But it's like, these records are perfect. I can't recommend them highly enough to anyone who's interested in like early British punk, pub rock. Yeah. Oh yeah, wow, you like Eddie and the Hot Rods? Well, that's cool. But like, get into the fucking Doctors of Madness records.
I do remember you like pushing that band on me, and I was a bit like,
right. Well, now it's like forever saved in the digital archives of YouTube.
Yes,
for the whole world to see.
When you're describing it, I was thinking Bram Tchaikovsky. Are we in the same ballpark there? Is anyone familiar with Bram Tchaikovsky?
Yeah, I do. He's more. Yeah, I think he's fucking power pop as fuck.
Yes, yeah.
The guy, like, I always put his
power
name
pop.
Okay.
So like somebody on the chat said the drones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a good comparison.
All right.
But yeah, Bram Tchaikovsky, like, yeah, it took me a long time to get into him because I hated the name and I hated the album covers. But then once it clicked, I was like, it's the fucking amazing fucking power pop record.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
That shit's awesome. Also, I think that Def Leppard Pyromania is a great power pop record too. You change a little bit of the vocal harmonies, it's like, that's a fucking great power pop record.
Why?
We can talk about that later.
Joe Elliott was a huge fan of all that stuff. The glam makes sense.
Yeah, I'm sure they all probably were, right? Like, where does it? I mean, I'm not like super familiar with a lot of stuff like that, but you guys were talking about that, like that weird nether region of like psychedelic hippie music, and then punk rock coming not too long after, and all the Detroit stuff, and then this stuff. Like, where does the Australian Sharpie shit fit in? Because I think of like the Colored Balls. That stuff is like so proto punk. Like, there's a few songs where I'm like, fuck, it's like 74, 75. It's super fast, and then some are just like these extended jams. So if it's anything like that stuff, like, I'm definitely interested.
Yes, it is definitely like that.
Everything was and in small towns you used to have that one-hit wonder stuff, like, or small shows where like, hey, we don't have enough bands to be on the show, so we're gonna have a hip-hop band and like a dance, a soul band and a hardcore band, like, to play together. And I feel like that was a lot, like, not only in Australia but like other places around the globe that just like mixed that shit up and came up with powerful sounds.
Doctors of Madness.
Doctors of Madness.
Doctors of Madness.
These are my
rest in peace, Peter Dilemma. Their drummer just passed away, like this week. I don't think anyone knows this person or is really mourning them, but I'm just throwing it out there.
I'm gonna check him out. This is
You had an impression.
Yeah, I want a full report, Mike. I'm looking for it.
All right, okay. Well, I'll do an episode on ranking the doctors.
Please, all three. It'll take you 5 minutes. It'll be a really short episode.
All right.
Ranking the drummers of Doctors of Madness.
Yes.
Right.
All right, Paul, what you got?
Oh, shit.
Shit. My turn.
Are you guys familiar with this series?
Hang on, my brain is kind of telling me things that could be wrong.
Typical Girls. What? Slits? Is that? Yeah. So, Emotional Response, the guy from Boy Racer, this is volume 6, and he just fucking highlights, trying to figure it out in my camera, women fronted bands. And every single one of these that he does is just jaw dropping to me, like awe-inspiring, because they're great 80s, like early 80s styles compilations where there's hardcore on here and like minimal synth and goth and like funk and like New Order style stuff, all like women fronted, women positive, and that kind of has like way less to do with it as how awesome these compilations are. This is volume 6.
Wow.
And of these, actually the one before this or two before this, he actually got the Primitives. If you guys remember the band Primitives, like Crash and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They contributed a song, and it's got reach, but like not only are the Linda, God, how do I do this? Can you guys see the lineup?
Yep.
It's like Wet Specimen, the Lindas, but there's some awesome hardcore on here too. Who's that band? Oh, right here, Provoke. They're actually standing in front of Gilman Street, right there. And their song is Prison Strike. It's these compilations. If you get a chance to get them, everybody should get them, as there are supplies last.
It's reminding me of this thing that came out quite recently.
Yeah, because you know what about that? I just got the Comets record from that guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. There's an episode, volume 2 in the works too of this.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
This is all new bands. Everybody go get this. I can't talk enough about this. If you're into, we all get into like a point of music and things we like. You got to go refill.
I do in a minute.
James, go right now. We'll pause. We're gonna pause.
I'm fine. Sorry.
Look, I gotta pee right now. I got the clamps on. Like I had a bucket beneath me in case.
I thought you told me earlier you had like a 3-yard urethra. Can you pee from where you are and still hit the bowl?
Yeah, but my penis isn't 3 yards long.
No, just the urethra.
Yeah, it winds up around my intestines
on the outside. Like that's what I can't figure out.
You have a pocket dimension to keep your urethra, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like those silly straws. Like the depth of the straw is only this big, but it winds
it spells your name
around.
out. It's like happy birthday.
Yes, exactly. So in the end, go buy the Typical Girls compilation.
Typical Girls, volume 6.
Well, actually, buy fucking 1 through 6.
Yes.
Why limit yourself to a number?
Collect them all, right? Collect them all.
If you don't buy Typical Girls 1 through 6, you're not a feminist.
Wait. Do you guys know about not only the label, like Emotional Response, and like, God, the guy's done so many things. Sleaford Mods, Boy Racer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know Sleaford Mods for sure.
Fucking, he did Bad Daddies. What's that Swedish band that's got like a lot of umlauts?
Viagra Boys.
Wait, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's ringing a bell now.
Yeah. That's all. Yeah, that's all Stu and his label. But this comp series is incredible, only because, for the most part, for me, it's hard to get a compilation these days. It's not just so like isolated in style, right? Like, and it's weird that this has to be the only thing that's not stylated, like isolated. Like even Discord comps and all that stuff, all hardcore, all this, whatever you want. It's just all that style. Like,
Yeah.
I'd like to put this on here, a little hardcore, here a little like minimal synth, here's some funky weird shit, here's some goth, which is, I didn't realize that I might still like a little bit, but maybe still hate myself for liking it. But
let the tears flow, man. That's okay.
Wait, no, that's not where I'm going. It wouldn't be tears flowing. It'd be like eyeliner and be like, oh, I'm gonna stab my mom, or like write poems or whatever the fuck, right? Whatever. Like, no one's gonna stab my mom tonight. Ease up. I don't know why I had to put tonight on that. Like in
tomorrow is still up in the air.
So this is Christmas.
That was a nice Cockney accent. All right, Pat, right? Pat.
Yes. So I had a couple of 7 inches. I just decided to narrow it down to this one.
All right.
This is the Spy Maniac split. It came out on Triple B earlier this year, I think. 2 American bands. Spy is from the Bay Area. Maniac is from Western Mass, I think. And it's part of that new breed of hardcore that's kind of mashing up different influences. It's kind of what I don't know. As an older, relatively speaking guy, it's kind of nice to see people going like, okay, I can be into NYHC and the tougher stuff and also appreciate Japanese hardcore and crust. I've been seeing more of those kind of fusions lately. Maniac sounds like, to me, like a lot of like faster Japanese hardcore. You can tell they've been listening to Bastard and some other stuff like that with like integrity vocals, and it's great. It's really, it's a really fun listen. They did it like an album length tape 2 years ago or something that was really good that I have. Spy is crazy. Spy it's kind of like a real like knuckle dragging mid-paced like moshy stuff, but it's kind of lo-fi sounding. It almost kind of sounds like the last stuff Think I Care did mixed with the very beginning of Think I Care's discography, if you guys are familiar with them at all. So it's like ugly.
Where's Think I Care from?
They're from Massachusetts.
Okay.
They're from like the center of Massachusetts, and they were around it from like the early 2000s up until like 2012. They kind of were influenced heavily by Infest, but then later on threw in more like Breakdown and Sheer Terror kind of influence. So it's kind of like that, but it's like the Spy stuff is very it's like very feedback drenched, but tastefully thrown in. Just like when the guitar's cut out and it's just the bass going for like the kind of more, I guess, for lack of a better term, like kind of breakdown parts. Super ugly, nasty sounding abrasive stuff. Yeah, it's cool. You know, there's this whole deluge of all these like monosyllabic one-word hardcore bands that I've been trying to catch up with. I still haven't listened to Gel. Spy's like the first one I've gotten into, and I really like them. I haven't heard Gag yet. There's all these bands. I don't know. But yeah, it's cool. It's kind of a mix of like two very different worlds from like coming up in the mid 90s. Like I never would have seen like kind of merge, you know? So that's cool to hear. It's a neat synthesis of sounds.
Who put that up?
It's Triple B.
Triple B. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I feel like I want to show a Japanese band every week. You know, I'm here in Japan. I've loved this band since like the early 90s. Not a hardcore band, kind of punky. And I this is a record that I listen to often, and I listen to it Friday night actually. Papaya Paranoia. Papaya Paranoia is the name of the band. I've been talking about this record ever since like the internet was invented, and like talking it up. No one really cares about this record or this band. 4 Japanese women dressed in kimonos and high heel shoes and like crazy hair. They were on this record was on Captain Records. Does that ring a bell for anyone? Captain Records was a big indie label in Japan in the 80s and 90s. They put out Lip Cream, Kill Ugly Pop. It was on Captain Records, and Gas Reincarnation album was on Captain, and what else? Oh, The Comes, Power Never Die was on Captain. But it's kind of big indie label. Anyway, this is a crazy record. They're incredible musicians. Jello Biafra reviewed this in Maximum Rock and Roll, like not long after it came out. He described it as the B-52s meets No Means No. It's kind of pretty accurate description. Really super. Most of the songs are really fast. There's lots of like 80s synths in there, but the guitarist and Kinuko Maki, she's an incredible guitar player. They're all incredible musicians. It's a super fun record, really high energy.
You kind of just mentioned 2 of my kind of favorite
bands of all time.
Well, not like of all time, but they're like ones that like are reoccurring in my history of music frequently. Right.
Yeah,
so
this is a band that people who are into like
that's a weird combination.
I really think that people who are into the kind of older Japanese like punk stuff have overlooked this record in favor of other stuff that is more being more sort of like Zelda and like Kya and stuff like this. One's kind of got left behind. So I've been trying to like persuade people about this record for years, and yeah, if you want to see this band, what I suggest you do is you go on YouTube, type in Papaya Paranoia live, and this footage will come up, and it's outside. It's an outside gig in like Shinjuku in Tokyo, right outside in the street in front of like the skyscrapers and all the lights and everything. It's unbelievable. It's like, and Gas Tank, I think people might be familiar with Gas Tank. They played the same show, but yeah. People are like saying, people who discovered them say there's also a bit of the Cardiacs in there, like that kind of really hyper quirky, you know, style, and maybe like predating like what Melt Banana were doing too.
It's just called Papaya.
Papaya Paranoia. And this record's called War, War, War. It's from 1986. It's actually their second album, but this is my favorite.
So if I just do like War cubed.
Yes, like it says here, right? It says on the jacket, right? Papaya Paranoia. War.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there you go. Like that. So yeah, check it out if you're not familiar.
Yeah, I'm
just a really good 80s synths on it too, like really kind of like Peter Gabriel, like kind of style, like synths, like over the top of this really quirky.
Yeah, like the B-52s
exactly.
And No Means No.
Yes, exactly. Just like Jello.
What year is that record?
It's 86.
86. Okay.
86. Captain Records.
Wait, so you said Captain Records was a big indie label?
Yeah, they were like,
and then you mentioned like
a bigger corporation. So they
right.
You can check it out.
But then you mentioned like the Second Comes record. Like, what were the records that were successful
Well, I think they were hoping to like launch them, you know, into the heavy metal world, you know.
Right.
But Captain, if you want to look it up, they put out tons of stuff that probably people that watch this aren't interested in.
Gotcha.
So I just mentioned Lip Cream and the Comes and Gas.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So like people who don't like punk are more familiar with Captain Records.
Or
if you're just
perhaps
like more
indie or like major label pop punk from the 80s, you know.
Okay.
Indies, that's what they call it. Indies is what it was called in you know, the Indies. There's even that like live record, double live record with like, Lip Cream and Swankies and stuff on it called Indies.
Hey, just to say, like, we've reached the hour point.
We have,
and I'm having a lot of fun, so I'm fine to keep going on. Like, this is fucking fun as shit to me. So
yeah, it doesn't have to be an hour. We can go as long as we. Lots longer.
Yeah. Wait, so for all you viewers, fuck the fuck off. You're sticking around. Seatbelt in. We've got 2 more.
I've got to tell you though.
Wait. Oh, you got to. This is where you plug Nord.
No. This is like the most people we've ever had watching live ever.
Okay, great.
How many people are watching? I
can see 17 people.
That's great. But now a word from Simply Safe.
Yes.
Folks, when I need
Stamps.com.
I think like
right.
We've
you
got
can
2
learn
more each,
anything
right?
on
2 more,
Skillshare.
James.
And for what
is it me again?
It's you, James. Yeah. Your turn.
All right. So this is everything I've done so far. Well, Extinct Government is punk enough to cover all 5 of my record picks, but everything else has been stuff that's like hovering around punk or is like para punk. This is like not even remotely vaguely punk at all, except for maybe in spirit. But this is I was talking earlier about so Paul's got to piss.
Oh no,
my opinion.
He
brought a jug to piss in. Great.
That's already isn't that like Suntory whiskey?
Beautiful.
Nice.
So I was talking earlier about like my interest in Swedish commune, folk, prog, hippie music, and that extends through all of Scandinavia. There is a band I like a lot from Denmark from the late 60s, early 70s called Furekåben that is very primitive hippie jam shit that is like the antithesis of punk in every way, except for it is very DIY in its ethos. And I believe that the band is itself also quite political and maybe even anarchist in nature. But this is
one question. I'm writing it
please
down
go
right
ahead. Yeah, sure. Yeah, right ahead.
I can't.
How do you spell that?
I don't know. I can't quite see the mark is above the A. Is that an O or?
Yes. It's like a. We would know it as the degrees symbol.
Degrees. Okay.
Yeah. It's a circle. It's small. I don't know what it's called if you speak Danish. But this record is like
I fucking love
kind of like a commune house band. There's like a someone playing violin. There's a couple like hand drums, an acoustic guitar, and it sounds like it's recorded on a like 4-track with like a single mic hanging in a room. It's like single source. Monaural.
Sufjan Stevens did it today. It would be a gold record, but those.
This is 100%. Like this is the shit that people like Sufjan Stevens really want to be.
Yes.
This is the kind of record that people like Stephen Malcolmus really talk up in a major way. This is the kind of shit that if you were like perusing the internet in the mid 2000s when the age of blogs like Mutant Sounds or Garden of Earthly Delights, this is the kind of thing you would have found on one of those sites. It was put out in 1970 by Spectator Records, which is a very cult label of Danish ephemeral countercultural music from the 60s and 70s. They say that this is part of their like folk music series, as if it's sort of like the Danish version of like something like American Folkways. And even like on the record question whether or not you could really consider this folk music, because it is. Even though there's nothing that rocks about it, it is definitely like rock in its approach. Spectator also released records by there's a probably the most popular Danish hard rock band of all time in the 70s called Gasolin. They released the first Gasolin EP. It's like a several hundred or maybe several $1,000 record now. Fernigan, Levitz, Becca's Green Grass. They were just sort of like they're one of these labels that they put up maybe 30-something records over the span of 4 years, and every single one of them is collectible or interesting in some way. They were just like tapped into the underground in such a major way, but also probably siphoning government money or grants in order to like push this shit out because it's like not commercially viable at all. The cover is cool. They
like what? Like when you're talking about these records that sound so gross but so awesome at the same time. Like
that's the idea, right?
When you heard this, there was like,
I've already given that away. The internet, circa mid 2000s, blogs like Mutant Sounds, and you know, like that's definitely probably where I first heard this. And this is also probably blogs like that turned this from like a record you could probably find for $50 to like a $300, $400, $500 record. I got this recently at the record.
I love it. Like I love that.
Yeah. I know. It's sick. It's not for everybody, but it's like, to me, the communal aspect and countercultural vibe that like exists throughout every like piece of a record like this is the same thing that like spoke to me, that Crass spoke to me when I was a teenager. It's just like something that's like, it's kind of about the music, but it's more than the music. It's this sort of like personal and artistic mission and this political statement. It does have a printed cover, but every cover of the record was like hand altered or drawn on by the band. Ooh. So this blue splotch and like the words here you will not find on other copies. So, they're all like hand altered in one way or another. There's a few hundred of them. They have a second LP that's just as good. That's more of the same kind of stuff. And that one is like they're printed in a couple hundred copies and is, C bank officer for loan kind of shit. But
hey, after this at some point, like
great record.
Look me up after this because I have some like dumb like Michigan stuff because I'm from Michigan. I love Michigan.
Yes.
And it's like, hey, I'm gonna make a song of like my dog dragging a chain against my garbage can, and then it's like acoustic guitar, but it's amazing. And like,
do you know Ben Blackwell? Also from Michigan.
I know a lot of faces, but I'm so bad with
names. Okay.
And even to be honest, like I moved back to the hometown I grew up in because like of the divorce and all that fucking bullshit. But also, like, I just realized there were streets named here that are towns that I also lived in before. Like, I didn't know that. Like, I'm like, gonna go to the corner market, go take a left at that stop sign, or you know where Gretchen used to live, go left, like kind of thing. So I might know him. If I saw him,
you might not. Yeah. Well, he collects music like this specifically from Michigan. He's probably like the foremost collector of Michigan weird ass private press strange music, and the stuff you're talking about is like probably like right up his. Yeah, he did a series of
from here
called from Michigan.
Yeah.
He lives in Nashville now, but he did a series of bootleg comps called Michigan Meltdown that I can't recommend highly enough. There are 2 editions.
Wait,
and it's all Michigan. Yeah. Those comps are amazing. It's all like Michigan hard rock, late 60s to mid 70s. It's all the para Stooges bands, the bands that sound like the Stooges but weren't the Stooges from the same time.
I have some really bizarre
shit.
Mark Farner stories too. But we'll talk about those. Have to be
okay. Yeah, exactly. You two, you're witnessing the birth of a great friendship. That
yes. You two can carry on after me and Pat.
Yeah, it's like we're going to start our own podcast. Tune in next week for James and Paul.
All right, Paul, your next pick, right? Number 4, 4th pick of the day.
Oh man, I was in Maplewood, New Jersey. I was hanging out with a bunch of buddies. Nate was there. My buddy Charles was there. Andrew Orlando should have been there, but he wasn't.
Oh,
he had problems. Folks coming on next week, but I got to pick up this at the Maplewood Record Fair, the Russian Meatsquats. Do you guys know about the Russian Meatsquats?
That was one of the things that when I was in the tape trading days, you would get all these like really like these, and then it's like today's like you get the Russian Meatsquats like tape in the mail.
Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, a fucking go nowhere area forever. 1985. It's just basic thrash punk. About like the first song is like any typical 1980s band that did this shit. From like, we are Russian Meatsquats, we are Russian Meatsquats, and then they're like fucking songs about like don't do drugs or like we love Reagan or we hate Reagan, and it's just a great fucking thrash record that I got recently. And I can't not like it. Look, hey guys, hey friends, I will buy all of the PBRs that you can drink, and let's go jump on my parents' station wagon, and you're gonna get on the cover of my record. Bang! Here we go. Let's fucking do it.
Let's hang out. That's great.
That's like, isn't that like typical? Like how many like 80s
so good.
So Pat, back to what you were saying, like that's the one thing that like as far as those German bands or Mike like that they didn't do, like they got the sweatpants and the sweatshirts and all that stuff, right? But they never jumped in a place together and put themselves on the cover. Like there are so many Midwestern and punk 12 inches and 7 inches that of just like kids jumping on the car or jumping on the thing, and that's the photo or fucking shit. Russian Meatsquats. I think they and they think all the right people, including Crucial Youth.
Yeah, I remember again thinking Russian Meatsquats. Like what does it all mean? You know, like the American band.
Do you guys know? Do you know what I'm talking
from
about?
the nose of Texas and things like that.
That's going to be a mental note for me. I'm going to be tracking that down. That's definitely up my alley.
Yeah.
I apologize. I'm very excited about this, so I may have been talking really fast about it. But Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania.
Nice little area.
Weird.
All right.
Thrash that came from there.
That's a good one. All right.
Song 1, Theme. They have got Funk Starter. And by the way, just a hybrid, like go off rails about this. One of my friends, are you guys familiar with the Gorilla Biscuits Start Today? Right?
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Do you guys like that record? I really love it. Like it's
not today.
Yeah, so.
I don't like it.
Not today.
Not today.
I prefer the 7-inch, not to be that fucking guy, but
right.
it's good. It's a good record.
But when it came out,
yeah.
I know this guy who would like listen to it, put the needle down, heard that fucking harmonica, and was like, "Fuck this," and chucked it out his window. That was a record he got from some records. Like this dude had played shows with Gorilla Biscuits, heard that shit, threw it out the window. That's a fucking house payment. And he was like, nah, this is not New York hardcore. I love that story so much. Anyway, the Russian Meatsquats aren't that. And until then, I will forever have Russian Meatsquats.
Awesome. That reminds me.
And somebody said they're listening to Gorilla Biscuits record. Yeah, great. Start today.
Not today. Not tomorrow.
Yeah. That story for whatever reason.
Don't quit quitting. You in the text.
Reminds me of, I knew one of the kids that I went to shows with, who was in another band that kind of had their own pretty big reputation at the time from Massachusetts. His dad was the singer for PTL Club. And he was a younger hardcore kid, and one of his friends came over to hang out and was wearing a 7 Seconds shirt. And the PTL Club guy was like, "Don't wear that fucking shirt in my house." Like, I hate that band. For some reason, that brought that anecdote.
You want to fuck my daughter? Fine. You want to slap my wife's ass? Fine. You wear that shirt in here? I'll fucking knock you to the fucking curb.
No positive hardcore in my house. I've been down a Thin Lizzy rabbit hole lately. I mean, I've been a fan. I got into them a little bit later, like towards my mid-20s. It wasn't like a super formative band, like in my early teens or anything. I kind of got into them because I was in Ireland, and all the punks that I met, this is over 20 years ago, all the punks that I knew over there were big into Thin Lizzy, like all the Warzone Collective dudes and stuff. And I have been giving them the treatment lately because it's work-friendly music. And, you know, I work in a hospital with regular folks that I don't want to torture with grindcore or whatever. So I've just been like spinning tons of Thin Lizzy, and I was like, what do I actually own by them? And I remember I have this later live record. This is post Thunder and Lightning, Life Live or Life or whatever. And it's, God, how many fucking guitarists? I realize that's not on every song. It's not on every song, but they bring out like Robbo and Gary Moore and like, yeah, all of them. I'm not like a, you know, super knowledgeable about it, but I just love this because I listen to this and then I listen to Live and Dangerous, and Live and Dangerous sound wise is obviously much cleaner, but this is super heavy. I mean, they open with Thunder and Lightning, and somebody pointed out to me that kind of sounds like a Cro-Mag song, and I can't unhear that now. And it's just, I mean, it's a perfect track listing. If it had King's Vengeance, it would be perfect for me, but it's still fucking awesome. It sounds. I
want to raise my hand and ask a question because, like,
yeah, do it.
May I?
Right.
No, Patrick, you're like literally the first person ever to sort of say that they really loved that live record, Live, because I love it too. I think it's better than Live and Dangerous. So I know that's a controversial thing to say. I'm a huge fan of that record, and nobody seems to like think much of it. Oh, it's like, you know, it's way past their pride, blah 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 blah. I think it's amazing. Yeah,
I think it's great.
Patrick,
I taped it so I could listen to it in the car, even. So, Paul,
even back before that is I was never a Thin Lizzy fan either until like I had some punk friends do it, and then some friends of mine in this band called Bonehawk, who do this like stoner rock stuff. They covered like 45 of two Thin Lizzy covers, and I was like, oh man, this is, now I kind of get it, and now I fucking get it. I didn't get it. Yeah.
Does anybody have like a favorite? Oh, James.
I'm just curious what you were doing in Ireland in your early 20s. What brought you there?
I just wanted to
where you are. Wait, just out of curiosity, point to where he is on your screen.
Hold on.
Wait, there we go. Yeah.
Not easy. There we go.
Yeah, it's hard.
You got to go opposite.
There.
And it's
And that's where you are, and that's where Mike is.
I'm totally on top of him right now.
Yeah.
I was just. I
Don't
wasn't
make it
doing
weird,
anything
Mike.
productive. That's for sure. I was just over there going to shows, getting drunk. You know, I was couch crashing.
It was
ran out of
like your like adventure when you were in your early 20s. You chose.
Yeah,
fire.
like I was pretty heavy into the whole crusty kind of lifestyle at the time, so I met people that were doing that sort of thing. And
right,
yeah, I mean,
but that was big in Ireland at that point.
There were a bunch of kids in Dublin and stuff. I mean, it was pretty wholesome compared to stuff that was going on in the States. You know, it was everybody's pretty cool and positive and stuff like that. It wasn't like the train hopper kind of thing here where it was like kind of gnarly or anything like that. But I eventually ran out of money and just picked apples for money to get to Germany. But
I have this feeling that Paul might have a question.
Paul, he might have a question.
Sorry, Paul.
Wait,
so my camera's here and you guys are down here.
Or
so
stroke. It's hard to tell, one or the other.
So you went to Ireland to be part of the crust scene?
No, I just was generally into that like kind of traveling lifestyle kind of thing, but I was kind of too much of a wuss to be like a train hopper in the States or anything like that. And
so you just got like a Euro pass and or
I hitchhiked and stuff like that. Like I didn't really have the money for a Euro pass, but you know, I had friends that had been over there before and just hung out like for quite a while. So they connected me with different people that were, you know, playing in bands and doing that sort of thing. So I was there.
By the way, fucking props to you to be like, yeah, being a train hopper, you like hear those Tim Berry stories, like, yeah, you got to get beat down and maybe stabbed, and then you can ride on
it almost happened.
And maybe Chunks Hall will like release your record. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, I mean, it was kind of that whole era of like the late 90s into the early 2000s. Some friends of mine were doing it, and I was just kind of like, I almost did, and I was like, I don't think I'm made from the right stuff to be a proper oogle. So
yeah, you didn't have a good enough trust fund. Your parents' lawyers were not quite.
Well, not just that. I feel like any day anybody can get stabbed. Like, why do I want to increase the stabbing odds? Like, I'm just gonna like, here I go. I'm just gonna do my regular stuff.
And this LP, kind of veering away from that whole topic of conversation.
Great segue.
It's funny because it still has the shrink, and it has it on it because it's taped to it with cello tape. There's a whole bunch of these. Like somebody sold his collection to Armageddon about almost 10 years ago. They're all metal LPs. Like my Judas Priest Hero LP is like this, where like you can't remove the fucking shrink. If you do, you'll destroy the jacket because some guy decided to really preserve his album collection, and that's so fucking annoying. But it's also charming because it's like my copy of Life Live has it. You know.
Wait, are you in Mass?
I moved to North Carolina about a year ago.
Awesome. Good for you. I went into the store in Salem, Mass recently, and it was like a horrible experience.
Was it a record store?
Yeah.
Which one?
How many stores are there in Salem?
There's like 3. There's the record. There's not Record Archive. That's in Rochester. Record. I can't remember the second word.
I really wanted to like it. The store guy was like just like grumpy, and maybe he was just having a bad day.
Was it kind of like was it a digging spot with like a lot of shit? Like you had to kind of piles of stuff that you had to dig through, like old school style, or was it more like modern?
Oh God, yeah. Think of the opposite of that. It was sterile walls and like there were like center bins and like.
Was it Residency?
God, man. Hey, look, if you're listening right now or paying attention, I'm sorry. Like, you weren't a friendly record store owner. Like, I was trying to be.
Just talk shit for a second. What you described about like the stark walled record store. Have you seen the Dark Entries record store that was just announced? Like, I don't know if you know this label, Dark Entries.
I know the label.
Yeah, so they just opened a store in San Francisco. So Dark Entries, right? But anyways, it looks like there's about 40 records in the whole store.
Ooh.
Like what's got to be like some incredibly expensive real estate, and like some like nice listening stations and like 4 stacks of records maybe tops. It's like I said, I don't understand these kinds of stores. Just to go on a tangent.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
It's that whole boutique thing, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get
Yeah,
it.
that's what it is. It's like a lifestyle brand more than it is a record store. So.
Yeah, I've checked out some
strange.
stuff that label's dug up and like reissued and stuff, and it's cool. But I'm not
Right.
surprised.
By the
that
way,
there's
to
more
talk
like
shit
I
about
guess.
that guy,
I'm kind of, and also like I'm quite high right now, and so I wonder. It is Dark Entry, so I hope I'm talking shit on the right label. But
Wait. 2 things right now. It was a Residency Records in Salem.
Okay.
Look, man, be more friendly. Like I was like, hey, where's your stuff? I'll spend money. Meh. Like, where do I find this? Meh. Like, I'm a friendly guy that wants to spend money in your store. So
I used to go into that spot all the
friendly.
time when it moved, and it's much bigger now. So I don't know if the guy has more than one employee. It used to be just the one guy that I know that worked there, but he was always great to me. But then again, he knew me, so whatever. But I always found some pretty good stuff there.
And if you have by the way, and back to James, if you have a store, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt Pat, but if you have a store named Dark Entries, either you're fucking goth or go home. Like you got to come in.
He's got to be candelabra.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the records are
like you got to have a fucking upside down Peter Gabriel tattoo on your chest with his face like looking up at you, kind of shit. Like you gotta there's got to be some sort of handshake to get into a record store called Dark Entries, right?
Right.
All right.
Getting back on.
I'm never going to be on this again.
Mike,
you will be. You will be. Okay, compilation album, Jobcentre Rejects, Volume 1, On the Dole Records from Sweden. Ultra rare new British heavy metal singles from 1978 to 1982. There's 4 volumes of this stuff. This is Volume 1. They call it new British heavy metal, but this is like that era where it was still like pub rock. It's almost like boogie, state, like the really primitive status quo, like boogie, pub rock. And there's bands like Spider, who are like the idiot status quo. It's like really like primitive status quo. Overdrive, Frenzy, Speed. Bruce Dickinson sings on that Speed song. It's really well done. It's got all the liner notes about each band, all the this, that, and the other, and all the picture sleeves, and every song is a winner. Just can't. But it is more punky than metal. It's like that.
Do the other volumes follow that, or are they like where do they go?
I don't know because I don't have them yet, and I'm waiting for them. After I got this, I was like, okay, I've got to have all the others. But I think it follows the same thing. It's like rare 45 from the era.
That fucking looks
How many
rad.
volumes are there?
4.
4.
And I'm wondering, like, does it, is this the best one? Does it kind of get worse? But that's not always the case. Like with that comp that you showed, right? So, yeah, ultra rare. Okay, from a time in which metal had vanished, obliterated by punk, is what it says. It's like, and the band's surfacing could have been match fit for punk. Instead, they went for metal. Is what it says, but it sounds more punk than metal to me. It's like pub rock. Dr. Feelgood.
Wait, what's the name of the comp again? Jobless?
Yeah, Jobcentre Rejects.
Jobcentre
Rejects. So you got one guy in a Neat Records t-shirt, this guy here, one guy in a Blitzkrieg t-shirt, one guy in a Def Leppard shirt with his Steve Harris Pete Way stripy pants, and then you've got, this is the funny one, you've got one guy in the Jerusalem t-shirt who won
nice.
which is a bit of a curveball, so because Jerusalem were a 70s heavy rock band.
That's great band.
That's weird. That's weird and gross. Like it could have.
There probably weren't even Jerusalem shirts. Like the likelihood that Jerusalem shirts existed.
Exactly. It's kind of a funny little hey, we know more than just, it's like, we know our stuff here. But great.
Make one and just wear it around.
Yeah.
So are you guys familiar with like 90s emo shit?
Yeah,
a little bit. Like
So,
angel hair and all that stuff, heroin.
Yeah.
Gravity record.
Yeah, right.
Like to that, like wearing around like a Jerusalem shirt. It's like my friend Tim was wearing on a shirt that just said heroin, and this woman like walked up and was like, "That's fucking offensive." Like he didn't realize that this is a band to me. And this woman was like, my daughter OD'd. Like, you're just wearing this around. Like, this is not funny to me. Like, is this a funny thing to you? He's like, oh. Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah.
It's just like a weird, like centering ballast moment.
All right. Last round, fellas.
Yeah, last round.
Okay,
so
I just want to say before I go, like another GoFundMe.
Before I go,
where are you going?
Like before we go through this last round, the last GoFundMe page is the Heroin for Jerusalem t-shirts available. You guys post.
Available now on the Analog Violence web store.
Yes. With George Bush's artwork or whatever.
All right, so I think we can all agree we all love the 13th Floor Elevators. We love Texas psychedelia. We might know International Artist Records and might have gone down the rabbit hole checking out bands on their, we listen to the Lightning Hopkins records they put out. We know the Red Crayola. We know Bubble Puppy. We might have listened to Forever Lasting Plastic Words, the LP by The Lost and Found, and realized that it's really not very good and wrote off that band. But hopefully now you will dig just a little bit deeper and check out the 45 they released the year after, When Will You Come Through by The Lost and Found, which I think is one of the pinnacles of the Texas psychedelic scene. It's one of the most fuzzed out, wonked out, primitive, just bonkers early psych rock and roll EPs you'll find from Texas or anywhere else. And still a record you can still find and get relatively priced. People like, if records were priced according to quality, this would be, I would sell a kidney for one of these. But instead, for the price of a couple of pints, you can get yourself When Will You Come Through by The Lost and Found. And it's just, go and YouTube it right now. If you're watching this live, so if you've hung on this long, make an extra tab, go ahead and type it into a search bar, cue it up, hit pause, and wait till the end of the episode.
Yeah.
And
Paul might have a question.
I'm sorry. Okay, so when I think of fuzzed out crazy stuff, are you talking Jesus and Mary Chain Psycho Candy? Are you talking how
the Sonics?
Yeah. It's a little
distinguish instruments.
God damn it! Yeah, you can.
Because Psycho Candy is fucking fuzz the fuck out.
Right. But this is still beat, right?
Yeah.
It's not in modern territory, but it's shit. I really struggle to think of another song that's quite as
So they didn't know what they were. So it was so archaic. They didn't know what they were doing.
Well, yeah, keep in mind they'd already done an LP at this point, but the LP is an attempt at a more serene influenced psych, and is a bit introspective. It's not like a barn burner, super ramshackle, noisy, which this EP is, or at least the A side. I can't honestly remember what the B side sounds like, but
fine.
I don't know.
already look.
If you're into this world, check out this EP. It's one of the highlights.
Yeah, I fucking love it so much. Just from you talking about it, like I love that idea of just one of the first fucked up sounds.
It sounds punk. Like it's definitely like I would put it in like that proto punk territory that something like the Sonics are in. It's way more maniacal than like the Music Machine or something like that. It's just decidedly discordant and aggressive in that way that anyone watching this would be into.
Absolutely. Sweet.
This is why I love these episodes and like love the stream is that I write shit down. Like I have other groups that I get with like once a week. Yeah. I'm like, we talk about shit. And I'm like, I want to learn this.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch this back and take notes because my knowledge of psych is
100%.
like, I like Hawkwind, some Krautrock, Aim on Duel, like a few things here and there.
Right.
Dark, the band Dark, stuff like that.
Of course. Yes, that's a good one.
I need to take some notes. I'm gonna have to go back. But right now, if you don't mind, I hate to do this because I try not to do this on streams. I have to pee so bad.
Me too.
We all do.
I'm like tapping out, like I gotta go. I'll be right back.
All right.
Everybody go pee. I'll keep everybody busy.
Yeah, Paul, just show your fifth thing, and then we'll talk about it.
Wait. Do you guys have to pee too?
Yeah, but I'm the host.
We can't all pee in the
I can't all go at the same time.
No, but I won't. You guys go pee. I already peed. I actually put a glass down here and I peed because I didn't know we were allowed breaks. So I peed in the glass.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. More than that, I kind of need another beer. But maybe we'll let Patrick come back and then. Hang on, if we do that, it's going to be another like 20 minutes.
Right.
Look,
this is already your longest episode ever.
Yeah. That's okay.
Look, I'm not going anywhere. I'm saying you guys go, and I'm going to stay here and talk.
I'll hold the fort.
I have a lot to say to your audience.
Okay, so 3 minets. It's the Paul show. There you go.
Yeah, 3 minutes. It's the Paul show. Everybody go pee. All right. So here's the thing that these guys don't want you to know about America. Nobody wants you to know about America, what I know about America. And this is the things that they don't want to tell you. 1, counting. Who cares? 2, sometimes we mess things up, but we like to cover them up with flags and whatnot. Nah, I don't know what I'm talking about. I got 3 minutes. Everybody's paying. And here I am. There might be 5 people here looking tonight. And there might be my friend Artie. Maybe somebody else. And a few other people. Here's what we don't.
Sorry about that. Oh, we all. Okay, good. Same page.
We're all coming back right now. And in the end, I think we can all agree that with the Pledge of Allegiance, we will die on our swords.
It's a white supremacist podcast there for a second. That's cool. I'm wearing the earbuds, and I heard a little bit of the intro as I was heading to the restroom, but I remember to take them out so you wouldn't hear me pissing. Which now I realize I probably should have left them in because that would have been a high watermark for this podcast. The first live.
Look, no, it's cool. It's cool. We only like the first 7 each. Hey, and anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, the people who laughed right now know what we're talking about. There's more than like 8 people.
Right. Yeah, there is. Should just left the door open, Mike.
Yeah, the host's back. Where are we at? Paul, right? Jesus Christ. James.
Yeah, mine is a cassette.
All right. Oh, wow.
Can you see it?
Oakland Weekender.
Nice.
I like that.
Is that a single kind of sleeve?
Yeah.
Nice.
Can you see what it is?
Umbrellas,
I can see the
Crime
Umbrellas,
School.
Blues Lawyer, the Neutrals, Cindy, Boy
Yeah,
Racer.
Yeah. It was that and this. I can't decide which between my 5 are that I like the best. It's cassettes and the Oakland Weekender is just a bunch of bands covering the Buzzcocks, which is amazing. But that Bev Clone is like a Michigan band and came with this zine. Through a set. Played with them a lot. I love it. It hits my heart. Like, I love it. But have you ever been in those places that, like, oh man, this is like a time and place? You listen to that band you were in, or you look at that flyer of that show you played with, or that place you were at, and you're like, that's so amazing. And when you try to describe it, your kid, or your wife, or your lady friend, or whomever is like, that sounds boring. And you're like, no, but wait, it's like a bunch of, like, we were all like sweating and yelling. Like, no, hear me out. We were sweating and yelling more. And yeah, so anyway, Bev Clone cassette, go buy it.
Oh no.
Beautiful.
Ta-da.
Wonderful. Pat, what's your last choice?
I just picked this up. This is one of those records that, like, at one point I sold it because I decided I didn't need it, and then kind of needed money. And then later on in life, I came across it again and was like, you know what? That's not bad. I'm gonna buy it again. This is Abattoir. They're a metal band. The Only Safe Place. Combat Records. I don't know, mid 80s, 85 or 86, I think. LA band. Here's the guys. Check them out. There you go.
I'm checking them out. Yeah.
The first album is like not quite thrash metal. It's kind of like Metal Church, like early Metal Church or something like that, or Omen. It's heavy metal, but it's almost there, being extreme. This is great. Vicious Attack, their first album. It's like kind of speed metal-ish, whatever you want to call that kind of stuff. US power metal, whatever. This, they're kind of going for more of like not quite full-on Sunset Strip sleaziness, you know, that's still got some fast songs, but they have a different singer, and you can definitely hear that that's like maybe a little bit of early Rat or early Dokken kind of taking an influence or something like that.
Oh, fuck. Early Dokken. Fucking good.
Yeah.
Good.
Tooth and
Like
Nail.
early Dokken, man. If you want Dokken with like a little bit more speed metal, like maybe Abattoir might be up your alley.
I have pre-tooth and nail stuff, or like
yeah. Like it's kind of funny to think
early
about.
Dokken, like
Yeah, and Rat too. I think like the first couple of Rat records are pretty good, and I didn't give that any of that shit a shot for like a really long time because I just associated it with hair metal or whatever. But this is, I mean, it's kind of like that weird scene from LA that Metallica left behind when they moved up to the Bay Area. Like there was a lot of heavy metal in LA that wasn't Sunset Strip stuff. Armored Saint, these guys, Omen, you know, all that kind of shit. And it's solid heavy metal stuff. It's not quite like, I feel like a lot of traditional good heavy metal bands had that one record, like the Sabotage Fight for the Rock. Omen had one. What is it? Stay Hard, Stay Wet by Raven. All that kind of stuff. There's like the one where they're trying to go commercial. This isn't full on that, but it is kind of leaning in that direction. But it's good. It's solid. It's catchy and anthemic. Picked it up the other day.
I haven't heard that one. I like the first LP. I know that one.
Oh, yeah. Vicious Attack is great. It's no Vicious Attack, but it's pretty good.
Cool. Right. I guess I have the daunting task of closing up this episode, and actually it kind of relates back to the very first record that was shown today, because James showed Extinct Government, and there's definitely some relationship with one of the bands on this record, which is Rockin' Sweden. Because they did a split single, right? Rockin'
Boris.
Sweden.
Yeah.
This came out 2 days ago, I think, officially. Relapse Records. It's funny that I would never thought I would live long enough to see this happen. You know,
it's surreal. We live in bizarro world.
It's great and it's cool and it's funny and it's hilarious and it's wonderful. And you know, wake up and Rockin' Sweden are saying, "Yeah, a new record out on Relapse with Boris," who are like probably the biggest underground. They're not even underground. They're a big band. Everyone knows Boris. You know, and Boris have like 1 million records out. Rockin' Sweden have 3 LPs in like 23 years and a few singles. So Relapse Records, it's like a 12-inch EP. I don't know if anyone watching this knows what Rockin' Sweden means. It's quite a cheeky name. And like all their songs are about smoking weed, pretty much.
Yep.
So Rocky is like Moroccan, whatever. And then Sweden, like in Japanese, it's like Sweden, which is water pipe. So that's what this band name means. Kind of hidden. Like Japanese people don't really know what it means, but that's what it means. Rockin' Sweden. So Rockin' Sweden is like straight ahead hardcore, but like with all these like weed references. And the thing about them now, they have 2 guitar players. So there's all these Thin Lizzy style like twin leads going on now with Rockin' Sweden. Oh, this
Man,
like
the
fast
cover
one.
of that. Like,
I don't know if it's shown up well. It's kind of like metallic foil, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Mint green with silver and stuff.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
It's crazy, right? Anyway, the fact that it's on Relapse, I guess this all comes about from them doing Gizm and then SHI, and then it's kind of like the trickle down thing where now they're doing like Rockin' Sweden. But anyway, it's pretty good. Like, you know, I think for me, Rockin' Sweden are never going to top that first LP, which I think is a classic. I think they've been like that's just a juggernaut of a record. That's like a real classic, and the production's kind of been getting a little bit thinner as we go through, and it's kind of got that. It's not so birdy. It's still great. And then Boris do like 2 songs which are in the same style as that No record they released, which is like their homage to like 80s Japanese hardcore.
Okay.
And then 1 more typical Boris track, a sort of slower Doomia track with a saxophone on it. But yeah, it's funny, like, because Relapse Record like streamed this on their YouTube channel. So of course, what you got was like, wow, all these Boris fans. Wow, well, I've never heard of this Rockin' Sweden band. They sound pretty good. I'd like to like kind of check out more of this band. Do they have anything else, kind of thing? So that's cool. I think for me, that's cool. You know, like these Boris fans are kind of are going to be checking out like Rockin' Sweden, then maybe they'll check out like more Japanese hardcore.
Yes.
So, you know what I mean? It's like it's cool.
I mean,
hey, Pat, I have a question for you. Wait, are we ending?
No.
I'm open for any inquiries.
Actually, it goes to like Pat, Mike, James, anybody. Like,
all right.
If you just want to feel like sad, like if you just want to put the headphones on, just like feel sad, but like that thing that like hits like below the sternum that just makes you feel sad or just hits your gut. Like what is that record you put on, Pat, first?
So directly south of the xiphoid process.
No. I mean, that's I don't know. That's like lower GI. So
no, I'm
just
just
lower GI bleed. Have yourself a mono enema. Like I don't know. Like
I don't. I mean, when I was younger, it was definitely like St. Vitus, Bauhaus. You know,
but like, is there a thing that like? I guess what I'm talking about is like a thing that you could put the headphones on and just be like, "Oh shit, I'm crying right now. This is fucking horrible. This is dumb."
Oh, Kate Bush, The Dreaming.
Yes. Okay. Mike, I like where you're going with that.
It's so beautiful, and like
that's what I'm talking about. Like that kind of effect. That like that the music, the thing that just like hits you to a point where you're just like, wait, why am I weeping right now?
And she was doing things that like nobody was doing, and she was so far ahead of the game, but like nobody really appreciated what she was doing, and she did her own thing. And it's a really personal record, and it sounds amazing, and it's so powerful that kind of
probably 5 leads,
especially after like 10 10 pints or whatever, you know.
Wait, what did you say, Pat? Five-finger death punch?
No, 5-finger death punch. No, 5 leaves. Yeah, dude.
5 leaves left.
I'm sorry, I totally fucked with you on that. I totally fucked with you on
Just do a bunch of push-ups. No,
That's funny.
5 leaves left or pink.
Nick Drake.
Yeah.
Nick Drake.
Yeah, of course, sure.
Yeah. Some Billy Bragg, like shit like that, you know.
Right. The first couple Leonard Cohen records are good like that. What's that?
You find yourself at a point like listening to Nick Drake, and all of a sudden, like you're crying. You're like, "What the fuck am I crying for?"
Yeah, that song, "The River Man," always gets me for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, like if I want to go old school, like because I was like super into goth, like death rock stuff, like in my towards the end of high school. Dead Can Dance still gets me. I ain't gonna lie. You know, the writing on my father's hand and all that kind of shit, you know.
Oh shit, that's a fucking good song.
Yeah.
And
the Kingdom of the One-Eyed, the Blinder King, you know, all that shit.
Yeah. Whenever I'm really down and depressed, I like to lay on the floor and listen to this song that was in the buzz bin in the 90s by a Swedish band called Whale called Hobo Humpin' Slowbo Babe. I mean,
I know that
like
that was a huge hit in England. Big hit.
Was it really? Seems like the kind of thing that would be.
I remember that song.
Yeah, that's one of those like tracks that like you don't pay any mind to when you're a teenager and it's out, but like going back and listening to it, it's like, fuck, that's all right. You know, it's like it's a pretty. It's not bad. I'm giving it my endorsement. That's my 6th pick for
your wild card of the day.
Hobo Humpin' Slowbo Babe by Whale.
Well, I'm just saying it's weird, but like sometimes you like the music I like, and then like I'm promoting tonight or whatever, like the stuff that sometimes hits me, and like, why am I weeping? They're singing about like laundromats or whatever. Like this is the most beautiful, horrible song I've ever heard. So I guess what I'm looking for is like those weird moments or like that thing that like,
or even like a guitar solo, like Over and Over by Black Sabbath. It's the last song on Mob Rules. Like that very last Tony Iommi guitar solo. It's like Jesus, just gets you. It's like.
Something about this season or this autumn is I've been listening to the Strawberry Switchblade record a whole lot.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, it's just something like how simple and sweet some of it is, and I feel like that song "Beautiful Fall" is probably about suicide. I can't tell, but like it seems like it might be, and that one kind of hits me.
All right, everyone.
It hits me because like
it's been 2 months. We've had too much.
It's 1 hour and 52. Surely we can go on for 8 more minutes and round this out to a solid 2-hour episode.
When COVID was in full swing, and we were all kind of going crazy, my friends and I that do mostly metal collecting channels, we would get on Fridays because we were doing the lockdown thing or whatever, and we would go for sometimes 8 or 9 hours. And
love it.
Like blind drunk. Like most of these are scrubbed from the internet now, but we would just go on and on and on and on. They were fun, but man, talk about endurance, you know.
Yeah, I'm glad that like that's something that we haven't like totally left behind. Like this, like sort of like internet is the tools are so easy to do a 4-panel video cross-continental live stream.
It's kind of like the modern equivalent of like tape trading and writing letters to people on the other side of the planet. It's like the new version of like making friends that you never met and stuff like that.
Zines too, yeah. It's kind of continuing that on. Because I mean I was doing actual tape trading with a guy in Costa Rica for a while, and I'll probably pick it up again. But man, as a grown-ass man, that shit is arduous. Because it's fun. Like I got into all these like Central American death and thrash and black metal bands that I'd never would never hear of otherwise, probably because most of the stuff's not even on Bandcamp. But man, taping, and the last batch of tapes I sent to him just got lost. And it's I was like, that's like 20 hours of work, you know. So it is nice to have like these modern kind of exchanges for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Improving it.
It's expensive too now, right? Like sending stuff overseas. It's like crazy.
He had kind of some kind of deal, and that's part of the reason why I got lost, unfortunately, where I sent it to like a Miami address, and then he had some kind of deal, something worked out. I don't know if it was sketchy or not, where it got sent to him from there. And somewhere in there, the huge box of tapes that I made for him ended up in a vortex of some kind. So, you know, it's unfortunate, but yeah, people still do tape trade, but it's a lot easier to do other stuff nowadays.
Yeah, for sure.
I just like the idea that music still moves people. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even have a TV in my house. It's either like music or this. Basically, I don't have a TV or anything.
Paul, what is your 15-year-old daughter that you hate listening to?
Oh, well, I'm 50. She's oh God, what is she listening to? So gross. She actually, hey, I have instilled this to her at some point. I'm like, this is like misogynistic. It was all like gangster rap and stuff. I'm like, do you know? Like,
wait, no, I love gangster rap. The more misogynistic, the better, honestly. But that's not an endorsement of misogyny. It's just the quality of the music tends to be better.
Yeah, but it's different if you understand like the context of you,
right?
Versus like a girl being like, "Oh, this is what I'm supposed to do."
Yeah.
Right.
It's still developing. Yeah.
It's changed a little bit, but like, hey, her first show was Waxahachie and what's this guy? Do you guys know Waxahachie and Radiator Hospital in like a house?
Radiator Hospital. That sounds like a made up band name from like a sketch comedy show or something.
Right. That's what I was thinking earlier when you were talking about what is it? Various potions or
assorted potions.
Assorted potions. Yeah.
Stick with
that was like, I was talking to someone about British folk bands and telling them about Mellow Candle.
Mellow Candle's a great one.
Great band, great band, but they were like, that's not real. You're making that up. There's no way a band is called Mellow Candle.
Like, Swaddling Songs, right?
Yeah, Swaddling Songs. Great record.
Sounds great to me.
It's just like if you're going to make like a sketch comedy skit about 70s British folk, you would name it something like Mellow Candle. Yes. Why not?
Yes.
Assorted.
You can make like a right now, like sketch about real named bands about things that people don't think exist.
For sure.
I accidentally brought up G.G. Allen.
Whoops.
Why was that an accident?
It was like, so-and-so's a controversial artist. Yeah, G.G. Allen's a controversial artist. Google. Look, stop Googling that!
Right. No, but Kanye. Kanye is he's like the G.G. Allen of our time. He's like the mainstream. I don't know. I don't actually believe what I'm saying.
You might have just ruined your friendship.
I get you. But you know what? As soon as like Kanye runs into a basement and eats his own diarrhea and throws it on people,
then I'll respect him, right? But it seems like he could go to that point if we just wait long enough.
And then till he writes a catchy song, because in New York City tonight, like, I'm sorry, but I will say this: G.G. Allen wrote some really catchy tunes.
All that Jabber stuff.
The early GG is fucking fantastic. Yeah, beautiful.
All the Jabber stuff is amazing.
But honestly, it took me way too long to get into like the scumfuck shit and like the.
So as long as it's still
alive, that shit is.
We're still alive. You got one more minute. One more minute.
Yeah, we're working
on it. As long as we're still alive.
Make it count.
We have 1 minute to all say something to get ourselves canceled. Go.
Look, I'm just saying, as long as Kanye can still eat his own diarrhea and put out his own self-released 7-inch from Connecticut, he's going to be the next Kill by Death artist.
Right.
Pat, what's your closing? How many closing comments?
I don't know. What's that GG record with the guy from Out Cold? That record's cool. That's all I can think of right now. The Suicide Sessions, is that it? Mark Sheehan. I like that record. I don't know.
Yeah. That's a good one.
But yeah, no, Jabbers, whatever. First 3 Kanye, like those. I don't know.
James, parting shots.
Have me back sometime, and we'll talk about Memphis rap music. I'll do an all rap choices.
Cool. Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone's coming back.
Sick.
Radical.
Except
We made
me.
the cut. 10 seconds to 2 hours. Here we go.
All right.
Should we count
That
down?
was, as I said earlier, it was fun, too much fun. A lot of beer was drunk. A lot of words were said. A lot of great records were shown. Until next time. Next week, we've got Nate Wilson. Next week, Nate Wilson, Andrew Orlando, and RT White is next week's panel. So make sure you
and
tune
all
in.
the stars are out next
The
week.
All Stars, yeah.
Tune in.
Tune in
It's
next
Sweet
week.
Week here at Analog Attack.
All right. Thanks
Cheers,
for having
everyone.
me.
Until next time.
Sweeps.
Stay healthy.
Thank you, guys.
Stay clean.